What up, folks? Jiu-jitsu here. Awesome to be back. And we have the awesome Dr. Ashley PharmD. I've been sharing a lot of her stuff, and I've seen a lot of her work on Instagram with KISS, Keep It Healthy and Simple Wellness. Thank you for joining the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Thank you. So I know we were talking for a bit, getting a little acquainted, but could you just explain your background a little bit and about what the KISS program does, and we can kind of take it from there?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm a clinical pharmacist. I think that I have with what I organize with KISS Wellness is a platform. It's a medication therapy management service to help people simplify their vitamins and supplement regimen along with their prescription medication. One of the number one issues that I've seen in my practice is my patients often thinking that because something's natural, that it's automatically safe, right? So when it
Right.
comes to vitamins and supplements, I find that my patient population would often take supplements without reviewing it appropriately, making sure that it doesn't interact with their medications. And that is something that has been a major, major complication in the healthcare industry, period. I'm emergency medicine based, and I work in the emergency room.
Okay.
I'm not your traditional pharmacist
Okay.
that works in a CVS or a Walgreens or a community pharmacy. I'm a hospital based pharmacist. And working in the emergency room, I get to see patients coming in with a variety of issues.
Right.
And one of the things that I noticed, especially over the last 5 years, and I think one of the things that really spawned my interest with that was seeing people's reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic. And with
Oh,
that, there was a
wow.
lot of information, a lot of misinformation, and a lot of drug interactions that landed people in the emergency room.
And those are the things
And
we don't hear about directly. We hear the news, and I don't have to dwell on that, but yeah, I understand.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it was one of my driving forces to say, hey, this is something that our community needs. Like our community, they need our pharmacists and our healthcare professionals to learn how to bridge the both worlds.
Right.
I know that you're into martial arts and
Right.
jujitsu. And one of my favorite things whenever I travel to the East is when I go to their pharmacies and I see that they have an Eastern medicine side and a Western
Western
medicine side.
medicine side. Wow.
And it was so amazing, particularly when I was in Thailand and I saw that and I said, wow, that is something that we need in the United States. Like
Hmm.
I realize that the pharmacists and their healthcare community in Asia is very committed to respecting the culture, respecting traditions, along with incorporating it in today with conventional or what we would say is modern
Modern
medicine.
medicine.
And so that was definitely the inspiration for me with wanting to start KISS Wellness, helping people in the community learn healthy and appropriate and safe ways, most importantly, safe ways to incorporate vitamins and supplements into their daily routine.
That is phenomenal. I appreciate that. And I want to kind of dig, if you don't mind, probe a little bit into your, because you talked about your motivation with starting the KISS program, but a little bit into how you got into the medical field. Like what motivated you to say, you know what, I'm going to be a doctor of pharmacy and I'm going to do emergency medicine and save people. Like where did that interest come from, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I think it all started with the magic school bus, right?
Okay.
So
Really? All right.
I've always been into science. I've loved chemistry, physics, biology. It was always my favorite subject in school. And just diving in deeper into anatomy and just chemical reactions around myself.
Right.
So before I wanted to become a pharmacist, I actually wanted to be a chemical engineer. And
Oh.
either like, I don't know if I can say this on your podcast, but like making like bombs or
I was gonna
something.
say weapons is probably the way to go with chemical engineering, right? Like I'm
Yeah,
thinking like you could do like a
I
color
love,
chemist or something, or you could do like
yeah.
something in DOD, right?
So loved chemical engineering and I wanted cosmetics and products and with that, like I said, I also had a love for biology.
Hmm.
And that is what spawned me getting into pharmacy is like learning about the chemical reactions in the body
Right.
and learning that just any reaction that happens from digestion to salivation to wanting to sleep to wanting to cry being able to break that down chemically was something that was extremely fascinating to me.
Wow, that's interesting. But I might come back to the chemical weapons thing because
No,
we're gonna
please
have to
don't.
talk. I either
I'm a pharmacist. I just make drugs.
I either have some shows for you to watch or some questions for you to debunk in that space. So we'll come back to that. Thanks for sharing. Moving along in the questions, how do you I guess I've talked to people about this and not so much in a podcast, and I'll do this, but staying motivated, right? So during your time in school, and I did my education way late, found IT, and we can discuss that also, because I was like, I'm gonna do this martial arts thing, and it was a different style then, because martial arts was gonna be like my basketball, and I was training with this instructor who was super famous, and then I realized
Yeah.
like, yeah, that ain't it. So then I figured the school thing out. Obviously, uh, got a wonderful career, and staying motivated. Like, how did you stay
Wow.
motivated in school? Like, what? Because it sounds like you were passionate about what you were doing. So did that make it easier to pursue, like, get through OChem, which I think destroys everyone? Is that right?
Right, organic chemistry.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a really tough class. Believe it or not, it was one of the toughest classes for me was something called kinetics, which was it's almost more like chemistry mixed with physics. And
Okay.
so that was the class that kind of I believe I took that class twice.
Okay.
Definitely, like, I loved it so much I needed to take it again.
Got you. Got you. Okay.
So I think like staying motivated through school, one of the things that really helped me, I think, is that I attended an HBCU. And attending an
Okay. Yeah.
HBCU, Florida A&M University, let's go
Yep.
Rattlers, right?
Yay.
Tallahassee, Florida. I think that it was going to an HBCU was definitely, even when I lost confidence in myself, a lot of my instructors definitely pushed me along and
Mm,
allowed me to not, you're just going to take that class again. You're going to do it again. You're going to take it maybe at a junior college and have those credits transfer over.
yep.
So, definitely having a support system with my teachers, just having them being vulnerable enough to let them know that I'm feeling down and not feeling confident in myself, and
Right.
also having their guidance to move in a more positive direction is something that helped me. I knew that I always wanted to be a pharmacist. Like that was just something that I had. I had all my eggs in one basket, and I was like, if this doesn't work, I don't know. I didn't have another option.
That's great.
I, yeah. So, but again, I did fail classes. I did retake classes. I definitely had my moments that I doubted myself. And I think, with personal drive and support of my educational community was something that definitely helped push me forward.
That is phenomenal. Thanks for sharing that. Because I went to school locally. I'm in PA. So I went to
Okay.
school locally. I've had there are a couple classes I took at a place that I won't mention, and it was
Yeah.
okay. Like it wasn't the right fit, and I did it for the wrong
Yeah.
reason. And I'll
Hmm.
just share this for my listeners, and because you shared that, because we're often, I think, putting around the stigma where like it has to be perfect, and if you
Yeah.
fail, you failed everything. No, it is not true. I did school late. Like I finished my associates when I was like, what, 35, I think. I was like, all right, I
Yeah.
guess you need to do this. Yeah, 34, 35, something like that. I
Yeah.
think I got those numbers right. Maybe a little sooner. But anyway, and then after that, everything took off. But I was focused. I knew what I wanted to do. I followed this IT thing, and now I'm pretty gainfully employed in the IT world and whatnot. And I got through my master's. But uh, all the hurdles along the way, um, I hit like a stunt in growth or made the wrong decision that wasn't a good
Yeah.
fit for my master's because I finished my bachelor's at a local school here. Um, and then for my master's, I went to this place because I was going for like what the name meant. And no
Yeah.
discredit for the university, but I'm a non-traditional student. Like I was homeschooled, right?
Okay.
And yeah,
Nice.
my mother was a teacher, and we can elaborate on that. And she, we had all the supportive school districts and things like that. Um,
That's
so when
awesome.
when I got to the master's program, the place that I ended up finishing my full program at, and like and just doing all and doing really well with the right sort of almost asynchronous format worked for me. But when I tried this experiment, the other place, it just wasn't a good fit. It's like a pretty big
Mhm.
place, didn't get responses from instructors. I didn't have the discipline at the time, and I
Yeah.
wasn't really believing in like the output, so it just wasn't a good fit. But when I, kind of hit that hurdle, and then moved over to where I wanted to be, the program was the right fit, the professors were motivating, and there's still professors from those places I talk to that are helping with career and even the possibility of my PhD. So like I found the right support system, like you
Yeah.
said, but also realizing that the non-traditional education may be a better fit for me, and it was, and I thrived in that place.
That's
So yeah,
awesome.
I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing that story. And folks, like especially the younger listeners, like with school, it might not always be you're a doctor or a lawyer. You know what I mean? Your parents may give you input, but they mean it in the best ways. Like find something. My parents would say find a trade or find something. The trade was
Yeah.
like technology, right? So and trade
Yeah.
schools are a big thing now.
Which
Um,
we need them, right? Right now, I have like the worst plumbing issues at my home, and if it's one thing that I need right now is a plumber.
as
So
a-
trade schools. I
yeah,
am an advocate for trade schools and
yeah,
understanding that they're just as much as an asset to the community and society as doctors and lawyers, and
people, right,
pharmacists,
right.
IT specialists. I don't, I can't medicate our plumbing system right now. So
Yeah, no, I'll hear you. Hey, plumbers, if you're listening, the doctor
yes,
needs some. Yeah.
call me.
All right. So moving along with the medical training, I think I have the answer to this before our listeners, because I know we had a little powwow before this.
Yeah.
Next question is, how did your medical training and career help with your everyday life? And I think you touched on it offline, but if you can share that, because you mentioned about your training and how you're able to share knowledge with the community. So could you speak to that a little bit as well?
Yeah, so I'm based in Miami,
Okay.
Florida, and we are a large Latin and Caribbean community. And one thing that my knowledge base has taught was a lot of the resistance that I notice in our community towards modern medicine
Mm,
has definitely allowed me to have my education has definitely allowed me to have a way to educate and create a platform that many people in our community feel comfortable with taking conventional medicine.
got you.
I have an uncle. He suffered a heart attack, and he's
Oh,
in
I'm sorry to
congestive
hear
heart
that.
failure. And one of the things that unfortunately happened with him is that he said, "I'm not taking any more of these medications. I'm going all natural, and I'm going to take plants."
Okay.
And yes, I a lot of times, if he had gone into a more Western style of practice, he would have been seen as a non-compliant, ignorant, naive Black
Right.
man that particularly just doesn't really care that much about his health, right?
Mm,
And that's absolutely not true. He does care about his health, right? He does care about his health. He has limitations in understanding that what these medications are doing, how they're going to help him.
right.
Um, he wants to, what I'm hearing from him is, I want to be healthy, I want to be normal, and I don't want to take 11 pills
There's
daily.
that.
That's what
Right.
I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing when I hear a patient say that. And I understand his pain point when he's saying that. I think that my background has allowed me, especially in my family and in my community, to intervene and help patients understand that right now, when we think about your body, you want to think about it in a red, orange, yellow, and green, right? With
Oh, okay.
red being at your level at the most, your body is screaming right now. Like, we need to
Okay.
make a complete U turn because you're going into a space of danger. And that's a lot of times what a lot of these medications are doing. It's helping you turn the curve for a moment in time. Not saying that you have to be on the medications forever, right?
Right.
But what we need to do right now is allow the heart to be able to pump blood to the rest of your body. So this
Right.
is what we're doing right now with this medication. Maybe in 6 months we can maybe reduce it. Maybe we can change the medication. Maybe with lifestyle and everything that's incorporated, we can come off of it. But for right now, this is what we're doing. We're making that U-turn. Your body's screaming right now with the red, and we want to get it down to a yellow and a green. And that will happen with time. And I think that that's one thing that I'm happy about with my education, not just my education in school, but just, as you're aware, our education on cultural competency,
Right.
right? and understanding that if you can read everything that you want from a book, I can tell you everything that I've read in every pharmaceutical book because I've read a lot of them. But if I'm unable to apply it to someone's lifestyle and someone's culture, it
Mm,
doesn't matter. It's useless.
right,
It's
right.
like a $2 bill, right? You're just gonna put it in a frame and put it on the wall because no one no one's able to use it. Everybody got a
It
a
might,
dollar
but it might
coin.
be useful one day, doctor. I have two $2 bills that I refuse to do anything with, and I feel like a
Exactly.
goofball, but I also feel cool in like a dinner conversation when someone says something about it.
Of course, I can talk about chiral compounds all day, but the reality of it is that no one cares about my chiral compounds. Or, like how, or I'm like, man, did you see that oxidation reaction? Like,
Oh yeah,
I think it's great.
tell
Um,
him, child.
but,
Nice.
most people wouldn't really, if it's not able to be used or see how it's able to benefit them or surface their pain point, like, what's the point of it, right?
Right. And then there's something too, and you can probably touch on this a little bit. I think it's a generational thing, maybe, because
Yeah.
not so much as my parents. Maybe like their siblings and things. I don't want to go to the doctor, and I don't know if it's
Yeah.
I don't want to find something wrong, but like being on that cold table, being poked and prodded, like, then they're gonna find something, and then there's this. Like my parents, thankfully, weren't like that, but I
Yeah.
had some relatives who were like firm believers of like, I'm not going unless I absolutely have to, and that's kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
yeah, I get it, but I also wish there were better ways to kind of promote health, especially for like senior care, as people start to get
Of
older,
course.
those preventative measures, which is why I like what you're doing with your work, because like that word I think is getting out there.
Yeah, it's great. My family's from an island called Grenada, and one of the leading causes of death amongst men is prostate cancer.
Mm,
And we know that I mean, yes, it's a third world country, but in most first world countries, um, prostate and thyroid cancer, they're like I don't even know how to say this, but they're like the better cancers to have
I
because
have yeah, it's
it's
pretty
considered
common, right?
treatable. Yeah,
Right.
it's pretty common and it's very treatable. But one
Okay.
of the reasons why it's the leading cause of death on the island is because of men not wanting to be diagnosed at the doctor.
Is that a lot of that have to do with? I mean, I know I got another 11 months before I get a colonoscopy. A lot of it may be that, like, hey, bro, someone's got to pick
Colonoscopy.
you up. They got to put you under. They got to use the camera. Like, I know, like, I get it.
Listen, just
You
do it. It's fine.
I'm gonna do it. Like, I don't want to be. You know what I mean? I have some friends who fortunately got through exactly what you said, prostate cancer. So,
Yeah,
Coach,
and it's
I call him Coach. Coach, Uncle Coach. I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, he went through it. He's like an uncle, a really close friend. And I
yeah.
found out late, like he was already like in treatment when he told me. And he's one of those folks who like will go to the doctor, but he was serious about his health and he's doing really well now. So
Of
that's
course.
good. Yeah.
And I'm glad that he's doing well, and big ups to coach, for definitely taking his health by the wheel and understanding that you're in the driver's seat, right? And unfortunately, you can't treat something that we don't diagnose.
It's
And right now, a lot of our as many things as you are in the IT world, it's advancing rapidly. Not
right.
in the medical community. We still got to use the finger for diagnosis, right? There really isn't a scan. You know, there isn't a scan. Sometimes you got to put on the glove and use the finger.
Sometimes I may have to turn my head and cough. There's no app for that, right? Like and I'm
Exactly.
sorry that joke was in poor taste, but you get what I mean. Thank you.
Just
Yeah,
saying. It's
yeah.
a slow moving space in the medical community. Where at
Right.
least, believe it or not, like we're actually, it takes about 5 years for a medical discovery to actually be put into clinical practice. Just all jokes
Oh,
aside,
there's
it
trials, there's the legal stuff. And aren't there like, I guess we can talk about this a little bit. Like, aren't there
yeah,
like bids? Because I worked at I did IT for a short stint at a very large pharma company that I won't name. I
yeah,
liked them and maybe I'll work for them again.
yes,
Um, but it was a contract thing, and it was great because I was able to. I mean, I wasn't able to like go in, but I was tasked at R&D at this place. So I was
Yeah.
around and like near the labs. Like I didn't go in the labs, and I didn't get to see anything like top secret. Like there were protocols on what type of stuff I was exposed to, but I got to meet a
Mhm.
lot of professionals like doctors and researchers like yourself, which was pretty cool. I mean, they couldn't tell me what they were working on, but like I could guess, and it was
Yeah.
pretty. It was a pretty cool experience to be like in that environment for that time. That was cool.
Yeah. And not only that, your practitioners are also going to want to use what they're comfortable with,
Right.
right? So that's another major challenge. Sometimes you'll have patients that will come to you and say, "Hey, I heard about this amazing new drug. I heard about this amazing new supplement. Bam, bam, bam. Like, can I use it? Can I try it?" And it may be fantastic, it may be great, but especially in our practice, if you haven't utilized it in the last 5 years or 2 years or 3 years, you may not recommend it right now to your patient, right?
Right.
You want to make sure, you're like, hey, don't really want to make you a guinea pig right now. Let me see a few more studies come out. Let me see
Right.
a bit more information before I recommend it. So it is a slow process
I can
on
imagine.
things in the medical community with how diagnoses occur, and treatment as well. So it's definitely, so like I said, so sometimes you got, so this all goes back to putting on the glove and using the finger, right?
Right. Right.
I'm sure that you're working on something right now, but if you're going to a urologist, and they graduated within the last 10 years, they're putting on that glove and using that finger.
Well, say this and relating it to IT because that makes sense. Like, there's still tasks in IT world, even in cloud space. Like, it's cloud for me and you, but
Yeah.
behind the scenes, if like a hard drive dies or they need to implement new hardware for us to have more storage and more features, someone, data center technician, engineer has to physically go there. Like when they expand, someone has to run cable. Like, well, I think the only spaces where they do have it in places like Google will have like robots change like storage components. But
Yeah.
even that, someone maintains them regularly. Like the robot doesn't robot itself, right? Excuse the expression. Like there's someone that physically maintains those places.
Exactly.
I'm running.
Exactly.
Even for things like back to those trades we talked about, like heating and air conditioning is huge in the data center space. Like being an HVAC
Okay.
engineer, that is massive. That and running cable and things like that. There's like a big, electrical engineers basically that do that work. So there's big space and trades for things like
Cool.
that. Wow. What advice do you have for someone who is looking to follow in your footsteps? So someone's like, you know what? I want to be doctor of pharmacy too. I want to do emergency medicine. Where do I start? What do I do? What advice do you have for someone? It could be me.
Yeah. So anybody that, if you're interested in pharmacy, I don't think you'll ever be bored, right? So
Mm,
anyone that's completely interested in having a career where you feel that you're learning something new every day,
mm,
I definitely would advise you to look into pharmacy.
okay.
We touch all aspects of medical care. We interact with a variety of practitioners. On a daily basis, I interact with neurosurgeons to obstetricians to urologists, and
Right.
all of these practices are using some form of pharmacotherapy, right? Which, when I say pharmacotherapy, is using medicinal drugs for treatment, right? So that's one of the things that I definitely love about my practice.
Right.
And I do believe that you can work in a variety of spaces. Um, I have my cousin, she's a pharmacist, and she's
Mm.
completely community based. And she's in Brooklyn, New York, and big up to Mom's Pharmacy.
Mom's
And
pharmacy. Mm,
and she is all about community pharmacy and independent chain pharmacies, as opposed
gotcha.
to CVS and Walgreens. She wants to be an independent pharmacy in Bed-Stuy. And with
Yes.
that, she's extremely successful with that pharmacy.
Awesome.
Myself, I mainly work in a clinical space in emergency medicine. One of the things that I like about it is that I get to see the pain points in my community. I can see everything from a drug overdose to a heart attack to someone
Oh,
needing to deliver a baby. And all of those aspects incorporate some form of pharmacotherapy.
right.
Um, I teaching, I have a great friend. She is solely based in psychiatric medication.
Okay.
And I think, especially with May being Mental Health Awareness Month, I learned so much from her practice.
Right.
Learning, she teaches me, and even all of these years, like I'm still learning from her, like appropriate antidepressants, mental health medications that are mainly for men as opposed to women, and how they
Got
affect them
you.
differently.
Okay.
So I think that chemistry involves everything. And if you want to learn how chemistry works in your body, pharmacy is definitely something that will keep that that clock ticking and that interest sparking, because you'll always learn about the body and interactions and how foods, herbs, supplements, medications, even water affects how these substances are metabolized in the body.
Oh, that's right. Because I noticed, and I'm really bad about this, or have been until recently, like take with food or not take with food.
Mm-hmm.
And can you explain that a little bit? I know that wasn't on my list of questions, but that popped up. Like,
Yeah.
is that is that to help with absorb the medication, or does that help prevent maybe like discomfort and digestion for taking
So
food medicine
so
with
it's
food?
both. It's
Okay.
both actually. So I'm sure one rule that I will always tell everyone is that your multivitamin should always be taken with a meal.
Right.
And you ask yourself, like, yes, when you take it on an empty stomach, sure, you can have upset stomach and nausea. But most importantly, you have essential vitamins, your fat soluble vitamins, like which is vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. Those are considered our fat soluble vitamins, and they need fat content from your meals. It's like, think of it like it's the vehicle, like the food and the fat is the vehicle to help those vitamins get into the body
Right.
and to be
Okay.
absorbed, right? So it's very important. Even with certain foods, certain medications need food to be able to be the vehicle to help break it down small enough to be absorbed into the body.
Right.
And all of that happened in the small intestines. Like the small intestines are just an amazing processing center in the
Hmm.
body. And when it's breaking down foods and getting ready and bringing the nutrients in their absorbable forms, they need things to help them. Like I think of it like a hammer, a screwdriver, a drill. That's what the food is doing to the nutrients, breaking it down, helping it stick further so that it can be absorbed in the body.
Got you. Thanks for explaining that, because I'm like, well, I ate a little while ago.
Yeah, and particularly fat. You're having it's great to, yeah, sure, you can have some chicken soup, but I would probably recommend more like an avocado toast, when something that's a little bit fattier and oilier. Not that it doesn't have to be like
Ah,
deep fried,
right,
but
right.
something that has a healthier fat content, is a great vehicle for those nutrients.
I think our guest is going to show, our consistent unannounced guest host, Mr. Tux, the author of
Mr.
Who
Tuck,
Scratches
blue,
Up
black,
My
and
Chair.
white.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh
Yeah, I can't get any work done. He just hops up on my
my God. Oh, he's
desk.
cute.
Thank you, Mr.
He's
Tux.
super
He
duper
does
cute.
have an Instagram called Tuxie Bobo. I'll share it with you. I'll
Yes,
share Marley's thing too. So he's gonna jump up here like 800 times. If I don't acknowledge him, he'll end up just like knocking over the camera. So I got him. Sorry about
oh
that.
wow,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah, thank you. That's helpful, because I'm like, I should try to do that. And I've been doing that. And I have some supplements I'm taking. I want to talk to you about that too. Another
Yeah,
question, I think we talked about this on our little powwow before, offline. Could you talk a little bit about supplements and like finding the best thing, right? We talked about, for instance, dietary restrictions, right? So like, myself saying, hey, I'm staying kosher or halal, with like and trying to find the right supplements and things. Like, how can one navigate that? I know your program sort of helps with some of those things, but can you talk about that, and what,
yeah,
because I think that's a
definitely.
kind of a challenging thing I've dealt with growing up, and it's a lot easier now because of the internet. But before then, it
Yeah,
was like roll the dice, right? 'Cause the information I don't think was there.
it wasn't there. It definitely was not there. So definitely, we have many patients that follow an orthodox kosher diet and also follow an orthodox like Islamic halal style
Right.
diet. And it shouldn't be limited. Your vitamins and supplements are just as important to be following in those dietary traditions,
Right.
right? And so unfortunately, the FDA does not regulate. Actually, the FDA does not regulate any of our supplements. That's one of the things that everyone should know. Vitamins and
Uh,
supplements are not regulated by the FDA. That's why it's important to make sure that you are getting certified and third party tested supplements. I
okay.
know if you follow my page, you know that that's something that I stress. Anytime
Yes.
someone recommends a supplement to me, my number, I don't care. I don't care if it has Beyonce on it or whoever's selling that supplement. Is it third party tested? If your supplement is not third party tested, you shouldn't be buying it. And it's not, and I know it's not going in my body, and if you shouldn't be going in yours either.
Right. Right.
So first thing is, and with that, that also comes with the diet. So we have two. So one of the organizations that I recommend you have the Orthodox Union, which is the OU that
Okay.
certifies your kosher supplements. And then you have the Islamic Food and Nutrition Council of America that is
Right.
a
I'm
great
familiar with that one.
resource. Yeah, AFANCA, IFANCA, is a great organization to help you navigate and to find halal and AFANCA is going to have more halal supplements,
Right.
and the OU is going to recommend your kosher
Kosher
supplements.
and orthodox. Right.
Yes. Now, for people that are not following those two specific guidelines, I do want you to know that you want to make sure that your supplement has been certified with good manufacturing practices.
Mm.
This means that your supplement has been third party tested.
Right.
And why do we need to be third party tested? Why? Just as with our families, people cover up their shit, right? And
There's that. Need to know that someone's
you
keeping
know,
an eye on our stuff.
you
It's
need
good.
someone
It's
that's
good, dog. It's good. I did it. I did it. And look at me.
exactly. So you need someone fact checking and fact checking what's in the product. Well, unfortunately, what was seen is that I believe it was 2021, at over 30% of the supplements that were found on Walgreens and CVS shelves did not contain the amounts of supplements and the nutrients that were actually written on the bottle. And these are some of your most popular brands, right?
Mm,
And they were finding out that, sure, it said it had 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C, but it ended up actually only having 1,500 when they tested the product. And that's what you're paying for, right? Because there isn't a regulation. So just because the packaging looks really great, it tastes like a strawberry. Those are these are a lot of our limitations with the vitamin and supplement industry. Believe it or not, it is it's a $7.2 billion industry. Like, people don't understand. It is a money, health and wellness is a money making space.
right.
And you want to make it, as you want to gain as much as you can in profit and save as much as you can in production. And
Right.
unfortunately, with production and processing, a lot of these steps are either cut, they're mixed with certain binders and fillers that aren't the best for us. They have artificial coloring. I'm so proud of you that you talked about eliminating yourself from
Like high fructose
high
corn syrup
fructose
and all
corn
that. Oh
syrup.
yeah, I haven't.
Um,
That's
but
been a while. Yeah.
a lot of our supplements have a lot of these dyes in them. Actually, if you go on my website, you can download. It's a free guide to of most toxins that you should avoid.
Okay.
10 most harmful toxins to avoid on your vitamins and supplements. You can download that on my website for free
Okay.
and just use that as a guide. When you're going out and looking at the back of your supplements, you'll definitely find it on the inactive ingredients.
Right.
Um,
Right. Okay.
it's not your active ingredient. Sure, vitamin C is vitamin C, but you need to find out if there's magnesium stearate in there. You need to find
Right.
out if it's yellow C or red C, like the dyes
Some of those
that
dyes are, I think, not too good for you, right? That's
Yeah,
what you're saying. Yeah.
they're toxins, and a lot of times we're giving a lot of these dyes to children to make the medications, the supplements more palatable.
Right.
You
So
know,
especially probably in like the gummy forms, maybe? Is
the
that
gummy
more
form.
there, the gummy forms? Okay.
Yeah, throw away the gummy vitamins. Throw them away. Throw them away.
Oh, yeah, I'll talk to you offline about that. 'Cause I'm
Yeah.
pretty my wife prefers the gummy ones. She's like, have these gummies. I was like, actually, I have the ones I'm taking now are gummy ones.
So
We'll talk, yeah.
there's a few reasons why. Just to be clear, like with gummy vitamins, the number one reason why, and I'm not a big fan of gummy vitamins, is that the technology is not there to pack all the nutrients in in the gelatin form, in the gummy
Right,
form,
right.
right? So a lot of times you'll end up taking three of them as opposed to taking one
That's
tablet.
exactly
And
what these recommend. Yeah.
yeah, so you're taking three, and with that, you're getting additional carbohydrates, you're getting additional sugars, you're getting additional things that you don't necessarily need from a vitamin or supplement.
Right.
And the technology just isn't there. So in the medical community, yes, I could say that we're snobs towards gummies. You
Okay.
know, it's like orange juice or orange drink, right? Like, what's the difference? It's kind of like that.
Well, doctor, I can help with that one.
That's how we see it. It's like
Right,
orange
right.
drink or
I got
orange
you.
juice.
Orange drink. Orange drink. Huh. And I see you have orange drink now. Cheers. Orange drink in your mug. Thank you. Yeah, that helps clear some things up. And yeah, I'll talk to you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And to the point I mentioned at the beginning, like the whole point of this podcast, there's I guess two or three segments. One being martial arts. That's mainly like MMA and jiu-jitsu. There's another segment in martial arts, it's Aikido, which I spent the most of my time in. And then health and fitness is the segment that's really hitting home. And you're the second person to do this one. And I really appreciate your input and
Yeah.
insight. And this is always learn something from your videos. So I'll
Thank
definitely
you.
share things after. Um, okay. So the next question I had for you is how are
That
nutrition,
was your cat
diet?
behind you. I
Oh
thought
yeah,
that
he
was your
is.
hairbrush.
Yeah, he is. I told you, I got him to chill, so we're good. Normally I'm in meetings and he's just like crashing into my face on my shoulders. Now he's pretty chill. He knows he's the star of the thing. For now, he'll probably do a backflip off the chair. Um, oh yes. So how can nutrition and diet habits improve our everyday life? I think we kind of know, but like hearing instead of me being like, well, I did this and now I feel great, like from a professional like yourself, if you could talk about how these changes we've talked about and some things that can help people with their everyday lives, right? Their nutrition, their supplements, just things like that. What things
Yeah,
that can help
that's a
them
great
improve.
question. One of the things that I really do focus on as a pharmacist is focusing on, believe it or not, food and drug interactions.
Mm,
That's definitely something that often that people don't really recognize. I'll take something, for example, one of my favorite fruits. It's a grapefruit. I love ruby red
mm,
grapefruits. I think that they're fantastic, and they're a
okay.
great source of like vitamin C. They're and which is great for the immune system. We also know that grapefruits interact with certain blood pressure and cholesterol medications,
Hmm.
right? So that's something that when you're thinking about food and nutrition, particularly if someone is on a has a chronic disease state such as high cholesterol, high blood pressure, maybe they're on certain antidepressants.
Hmm.
There's certain foods that um, they might want to avoid, and
Right.
due to interactions. Also, patients that are on medications on a regular basis, one of the things that we do know is that long-term prescription drug use depletes the body of nutrients and supplements, even
Okay.
prescription or over the counter. I'll give you an example. Omeprazole. That's a great men, women, everyone uses it for stomach acid, right? Some
Hmm.
people say they got the acid in the stomach, and they're taking Pepsid or on these medications on a daily basis. About for with over 6 months of use, we do know that a person's B12 levels decline after taking over-the-counter omeprazole, Pepsid, Prilosec for an extended period of time. So they may need to have a diet that incorporates more vitamin B12 into their diet.
Gotcha.
People people that are taking an aspirin daily for heart health. Their doctor says, hey, you need to take an aspirin daily. They're decreasing their absorption of vitamin C. So they may need to, in the morning, make a smoothie that adds in a little bit more vitamin C, having bell peppers with their foods and making sure that they're getting making sure that they're paying attention to getting added nutrition with vitamin C. So
Mm.
anyone that's taking any type of prescription medication, any type of over-the-counter medication, consulting with your pharmacist, your healthcare provider, and learning about nutrient depletions from that medication is very important. One thing that many women do not know because they start birth control at a very young age is that most women start birth control at about 16 or 18 years old for a
Okay.
variety of reasons,
Right.
and they take it for about 20 years.
Mm.
And understanding that oral contraception depletes the body of B vitamins, right? And we know how
Okay.
essential B vitamins are for energy production. So making sure that women are getting additional sources of vitamin B12, making sure that they're getting their lean meats, eating eggs, adding in supplementation. That's definitely, I would say, is the parallel between vitamins and supplements and nutrition. Knowing what your body is going through, if you're taking any medications that its effect on nutrient absorption in the body, and understanding how your nutrition can be the missing puzzle, or supplements can be the missing puzzle to helping everything work synergistically and making your body work effectively.
Wow, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, because I think I didn't know any of that. Like I know there are people who are on medication, but I often, especially my parents being much older, they have like, I'm exaggerating, like 25 medications they take. They have
Yeah,
the little pill thing with like Thursday it's like a glob,
yeah,
Friday it's a glob. I'm like,
exactly,
ah, like you know.
exactly.
Yeah, and
You
then the
know,
supplements and things that go with that. So yeah, that's a lot. That makes a little more sense because the doctor's like, you got to take this, and your father takes this, and these, and then 10, and I'm just like, I don't. You gave me the sheet, but like I don't understand all of what's happening. And then they're like, okay, go to the pharmacy, see you later. I'm like, I don't
yeah,
know
exactly. And
where.
what you're going to hear from your parents is when they're taking it, or if they're not taking it, that's another major problem. The other American problem is non-adherence and not taking medications. We got a drug
Right,
problem, and we also have a non-adherence problem. And a lot of it is because patients don't feel good. you know
right,
they're taking the medications and they're like, I just don't feel good. They start taking their blood pressure medications and they're feeling loopy and dizzy, and they need to go to work and be in a car, not knowing that maybe we might need to look at certain levels, like, is your magnesium okay, is your potassium level appropriate?
right.
And those electrolytes that are essential for functioning could be knocked off by certain prescription medication. And if you're not educated on that, like you said, your doctor tells you, hey, just go to the pharmacy and fill it and come back in 90 days. And let's make sure that blood pressure is down. That's something that's where I believe that your pharmacist and your community pharmacist will be able to step in. But if you don't
Right,
know to ask those questions, you're just doing what you think you're supposed to do and
right.
not the appropriate questions to ask.
Right. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because especially with my father, and we can talk about some of this offline. There's like, I'm like, he's taking like, because he has blood pressure stuff going on, and I'm like, okay, well, he's taking these stuff, but there's some days he's just out of it, and it could be there's like diet things there that we're working
Mhm.
on. But yeah, we can, if you don't mind, I'll pick your brain about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else do I have here? We talked about supplements a little bit, and this we talked about offline. So if you don't mind, we can like do a recap on this. As an athlete, someone who's doing like martial arts or any kind of athletic sport or activity, being it like, Brazilian jiu-jitsu or triathlon or something, not that those are the same, but somebody who's active, what type of supplements should they take, and what does the body need in your recommendation to try to keep them, feeling level with all the things they're doing with their body, right?
Yeah, of course. So when it comes to that, I believe that there are three different factors, right?
Okay.
Of course, there's sex, male or female.
Hmm.
There is definitely your age, that is a determining factor. And also if there are any chronic disease states that someone may be living with, right?
Right.
Because all three of those factors, we have elite athletes that are living with chronic diseases,
Oh yeah.
thriving. We have, different age groups. The supplements that you need at 25 are not the same supplements that you need at 45, you know? And then also when it comes to gender, overall, I think with all three dynamics, the first thing to start thinking about is recovery. That
Okay.
is where your mindset initially wants to go, is what is my initial recovery? And making sure that we're focusing on the fact that the body is able to recover at a decent rate to be able to put those stressors and demands on it.
Right.
So three things that I recommend for recovery is definitely making sure that you're getting adequate protein. How do you
Okay.
know that you're getting enough protein?
That was my next
So
question.
right? So you asked a great. I love, especially the fact that you're in martial arts.
Right.
You speak about weight class, and you also mentioned, you said, "Hey, I don't necessarily need to gain weight. I don't need to lose any weight. I feel
Right.
strong. I feel good at that weight class."
Right.
So, however, what weight that is for you, that's how many grams of protein you should be getting a day.
Mm. Oh,
That's a
wait. So does weight, so okay, so let me understand correctly. My weight should equal my grams of protein?
grams of protein.
So like just for an example, me being at like 145 or something, I should be getting that number of
Yeah,
grams of.
number of grams of protein a day.
Oh, I did not know these things.
Yeah. So knowing that, that is a great place to start and have a great way of gauging your protein consumption for the day.
Okay.
So you don't necessarily need to have the biggest T-bone steak, because that's not necessarily just protein, right? You're getting a lot of saturated fat. You may not want to necessarily be eating beef, right?
Right.
So there are definitely different ways to get that. Making sure that you're having eggs for breakfast,
Yep.
Greek yogurt. There's some way that you're incorporating protein into your diet. You can get protein through almonds.
What about
There's certain
oatmeal? Is oatmeal?
oatmeal is a great way to add it in. Quinoa is a great way of adding in protein, and you'll realize that as you start to meal plan and meal prep, you will see how you're absorbing and how you're incorporating or not incorporating enough protein into your diet, right?
Right.
Um, Another factor is fish oils and omegas.
Okay.
And if you're a vegan, flaxseed is a great way another way to get that type of like ALA. It doesn't
Okay.
necessarily need to come from a fish source if you're vegan and you
You're
don't want
vegan.
fish.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Huh?
I said that's
You're
good.
vegan?
That was no, 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 no. That was in
Oh,
one of my questions, the vegan options for this. So thank you.
yeah.
Please go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, definitely. Vitamin D is vitamin D. We actually don't realize that it's not a vitamin; it's a hormone. And
Huh.
vitamin D is not a vitamin. It's called vitamin D, but it's actually a hormone. Sometimes think of it like how we think a tomato is a vegetable, but it's actually a fruit. It's just
Okay.
has its other
'Cause I was
name.
like, what? I got you.
Yeah,
I got you.
right. So vitamin D is like a tomato. Like we're like, oh, fruits and vegetables. Like tomatoes a fruit, but we treat it as we treat it as a vegetable.
Right.
And magnesium,
Ah.
especially anyone over the age of 40. If you're not getting magnesium daily, just don't even work out, because the muscle recovery, the joints, the central nervous just needs that boost in regeneration. And magnesium, we know, is extremely beneficial
Okay.
for that, with everyone, men and women. So when it comes to women, women also need to follow that protein number as well. It's not
Okay.
different for men or women, but still follow that protein guideline. But two things that I like to add for women, for that are athletes, is definitely zinc and collagen. Making sure that they're getting an adequate amount of zinc. Zinc helps the body boost in testosterone, and naturally, as women, we just don't have as much testosterone as men do. Could be a good thing or a bad thing, depending on what you like. And just making sure that you're getting that zinc, because it helps the thyroid and helps the body help boost testosterone production, which is energy,
Right.
and collagen,
Okay.
which is great for our joints and skin. And we naturally don't have the because our muscle mass is often smaller. So if we're doing that same level of strenuous activity, it's just harder on the joints and muscles. So adding in some collagen.
Okay. Does collagen have benefits for males as well, or I
It
assume it does,
definitely
right?
has, yeah, it definitely has benefits for men. And men can definitely take collagen as well. I just think that for like the average woman that may be starting to train and train heavily, there's a lot more. Well, we all know that when you're training, there's a lot of muscle tear, a lot of muscle breakdown, and you just need that for the recovery portion to build it back up. And
Got you.
yeah, so with women, just adding in that boost of collagen is definitely really great for the joints and overall reproduction of the muscle and tissues, and zinc for the testosterone, helping with the testosterone production in the body.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
So we talked about supplements a little bit, but is there a, how do I ask this? What are your thoughts on like protein supplements? Like, are there good and bad? And by good and bad, I mean recommended or not recommended. I should use that terminology better.
Yeah,
Things for like
that's
protein,
great.
because there's the things that are like, yeah, this hot new super shake will build
Oh my
super
God.
muscle in 90 days. Or is there like, no, you just get this vegetable based thing from Walgreens? Like, could you kind of help navigate
Yeah.
that or give us some insight on how that works?
So my number one question, as you know, you're gonna get so sick and tired of this question, and I know vitamin and supplement. I think they're blocking me now because that's my every time your feed shows what you're interested in. So I'm always getting a supplement up on my feed, and I'm
Right.
asking the question: is it third party tested? Is that supplement
Mm,
third party tested? Are they fact checked? Are there any additives and contaminants that are in that powder that
right.
that you need to avoid? It doesn't always need to taste like snickerdoodle, right? It's that contains certain toxins that need to be removed out of the
Right.
product, right? So that is something that I definitely would tell people to take into consideration. Is the product third party tested, fact checked? And if you are an athlete, making sure that it's NSF certified, okay? I'll say that again,
NS
NSF
Nancy
certified.
Sean Frederica
Yeah, right,
certified.
perfect. And this really just helps certify, most importantly, what's on the label is in the product, and that it doesn't have any harmful contaminants, and that it also doesn't have any byproducts that can mask for certain substances that are tested for when you're competing, right?
Right.
People that are bodybuilders or Olympic athletes, they definitely need to take drug tests
They do.
before they
Yeah.
compete, and to make sure that they're not taking any harmful ingredients that could maybe give them a physical disadvantage. So when making sure that your supplements are NSF certified, you're going to make sure that there aren't any prohibited substances that might be hidden in the product, right?
Right.
So those are that's what I would definitely recommend to someone. One, making sure that it's third party tested, and number two, making sure that it's NSF certified.
Got you.
With that, you can make sure that you're getting the quality of your supplement. And you're going to hear, they're going to say, "Oh, we use our own private labeling for testing," and I'm sure that their private labeling is great. I'm sure that I don't want to say that it's discredit. I don't want to discredit the investment that they're making in their testing.
Right.
But if it doesn't have that stamp of approval right now in my practice, I wouldn't recommend it. I
Okay.
wouldn't
That's
recommend the
good to know.
product.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah,
it's easy to go with the hot new thing because we're
of
new to
course.
it, and I get it. I'm sure it's all in good nature, but there are things we need to be considered. That's why we talk to professionals like you, right,
Yeah.
Jonathan?
And you
Um,
also you look at the marketing, and they're going to give you the person on it with the hot body.
you
And,
gotta take this today to get
yeah,
this tomorrow.
and unfortunately, we're very vulnerable, and we also don't have the time to do a lot of the research for ourselves, which is why KISS Wellness is here. And also, just helping you get those tools, because you're vulnerable. We don't always have the time. And someone says it's great, it tastes great, they use it all the time. And then you find out 4 months later there was a recall.
Yeah, especially with new products, to your point, there is something to having some back research or something be on the market for a while.
Third party tested.
Okay.
Third party tested.
I know we're running close on time, but I have one more question and then we can
Yeah,
take it from there by your discretion. I think we touched on this a little bit when I wanted to kind of dive deep into it. Just so is having a balanced diet enough? Like, right? Because I think I come across people in two camps, right? Like
yeah,
I have a good diet, but I don't have supplements, right? I never see
yeah.
both. I rarely see both. Maybe like super athlete, and I see people who aren't like super athletes. My brother-in-law, I'm pretty sure his diet's good. I'm gonna ask him about it. He's big into cycling. He's I think
Oh, nice.
basically pro at this point, or his next 2 years pro. He's like a sponsored athlete, I believe. So I talked to him a little bit about this, but yeah, is diet enough? Right? I need to have
Yeah.
supplements too. Like, what is there a sweet spot for having both that and like sleep and lifestyle that can help make me be a super strong athlete or not, just like help improve my overall wellness?
Yeah, I really love that question. And I think that it's one of the best questions that I've been asked in a really long time.
Oh, thank you.
Uh, yeah, it really is. That's a fantastic question because you can't out supplement a bad diet. Let's
Right.
just be, you can't, eat hot fries and mozzarella sticks and wings and, you know, drink and then be like, but I'm taking those omegas, like, it's not gonna, benefit, have any benefit on that. And
Right.
also, and to counteract that, when you're thinking about a healthy diet, so when we look at what the USDA, many people don't even have enough respect for the USDA fruits and vegetables guidelines because they think it's, let's be honest, we should be getting more, but let's just
Right.
play hypothetically, we go by the USDA guidelines
Right.
of fruits and veggies, right? That would be a half a cup of blueberries with breakfast, like 2 cups of a green salad with lunch, a half a cucumber, 1 apple, 16 grapes, a medium carrot, and a red bell pepper, right? That's about 7 servings of fruits and veggies on a daily basis, right?
And that's
And
assuming they're not organic, right? Because there's those
that's
factors
assuming
too.
that's assuming that they're not organic. That's just
Okay.
what's recommended. That would be
Okay.
considered, if you go to a dietitian or anyone that was educated by the USDA, those are considered 7 servings
Okay.
of fruits and veggies for the day, and you're hitting that. Do you know that only 11% of Americans actually even meet that?
I'm surprised it's that high, to be honest with
Right?
you. I know from where like I grew up, my parents are always good about that, but I know like just unfortunately that's just the case, you know?
Yeah. I was just talking to my mom earlier, and I work a really sucky shift, 2 to 2, and sometimes with the working in the emergency room, you get one meal for the day. Like sometimes I go to sleep at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I may get to eat at 4:30 or 6 when I'm working, and I'll have one meal and supplement the entire day with water, right? And that's something to really think about. Like, did I get those 7 servings through
I
recommendation? And I didn't.
Wow. Okay.
So even if I may have had a healthy meal, sure, maybe I had salmon and sweet potato with beets and broccoli, but that's still not getting my servings that are daily recommended.
Hmm.
So that's definitely why I would say, and I know that I'm not the 11%, even though I know this information, I preach this information, just the reality of my lifestyle, I'm not always able to meet it. And so
Right.
that's why it's important to add in the supplements on a daily
Right.
basis. We often neglect ourselves. I'm sure you know that there are days that you're like, wait, I didn't eat today.
Caught me red-handed.
Yeah, you're like,
Or
I
I
was
didn't eat
brushing my
enough. Yeah, there's usually like I didn't like there's days where I have one meal and I'm like, I don't know how I did it.
Yeah.
And those
And
might be chill days, not
and
necessarily workout days.
those might be chill days. And so that's just one factor. Another factor is that we have a lot of environmental toxins that we're exposed to. living in a metropolitan community, there are certain toxins that and antioxidants that we're just exposed that we don't have any control over. You and I are the same age, so I know that you're getting to the point where you just want to be in like an open pasture and just look outside.
I'm about to move to Alaska. Like I'm done. When I was like 10 years ago, I would have been like, I need to be in the city, but no, man, we're in the burbs now, and I'm like, this is great. It's quiet.
Yeah,
Get off
I
my
was talking about the
lawn.
country
Get off my
girl.
lawn. Get off. Yeah.
Herb garden. I didn't know that I'd become this person.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but unfortunately our environmental toxins, those are something that we also need to counteract for. Our daily stress, like I said, I know that I need 8 hours of sleep a day. What's the reality? I go to sleep at 2:30 in the morning because that's the time that I get off. I need to live. So just lifestyle factors, I need to have the counteracting. I need to counteract with, hopefully when I'm off, having enough time and sleep for restoration, but also making sure that I'm adding in appropriate vitamins and supplements to help counteract that. So this is why I would say that having a shitty diet and using supplements isn't going to do anything. And the healthiest of diets, and be that 11% that's getting those 7 servings just based off of the USDA. Maybe you're getting more, but I assure you, the quality of our soil, the environmental toxins that you're exposed to, there's definitely a benefit for you in obtaining vitamins and supplements.
That is phenomenal. Thank you so much. And I know we're pretty much at time. This was an absolute pleasure. I might have to bribe you into doing this again.
Let's do it again, and we'll have a specific topic.
We'll do a part 2. Yeah. I'll be more educated next time.
About drugs all day.
Anyway,
it's terrible.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ashley.
How
do people find you? I'll obviously share your page on Instagram. I'll share your website so people can find you. Is there anything else you want to share with our up and coming audience before we break?
Well, first and foremost, congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you.
I think it's fantastic that you're incorporating your love and your passion for martial arts and health and wellness. And as you know, we're getting older, and we just have to have a blend. And you're going to have that niche. There are people that are very much interested in this. The health and wellness industry is massive. It is lucrative, and just keep continuing it. Just keep putting out material, and it's going to be fantastic.
Well, of course, with people like you, I really appreciate those kind words. It means a lot coming from you. And folks, as always, you know how to find us. I'll share Dr. Ashley's information, and
KIHS Wellness.
Let's tap in.